Thank you very much, councillors, members of senior staff, the gallery, the press. A warm welcome to you. I declare open the meeting of Temora Shire Council for our July meeting. And thank you so much for your attendance. Noting that we have Councillor Irvine is on Zoom. So welcome, Councillor Irvine. I think he's there, is he?
Yeah, g'day. I'm very light on data here, so I'll be in and out, I think.
Right, but thanks for making the effort, Councillor Irvine. Anyway, so in declaring open the meeting, just advising that this meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Temora Shire Council's webpage for public information. All present today, a reminder that while speaking, that we agree that our views and our comments are being recorded and published. And we're also reminded that if or when that we are speaking, that of course that we're respectful to others and using the appropriate language, and Temora Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this council meeting. So thank you. We now go to our opening prayer, and it's a great privilege to introduce Mr. Bill McCauley, who's representing the Temora Uniting Church, who will lead us in our opening prayer. If you could come forward to use Councillor McLaren's microphone. Thanks, Mr. McCauley.
Thank you for that. Okay, thanks for that there, Rick. Now, I got down here, I was going to say, introduce myself to you, because being a new councillor, I might admit this is the first time that I've been here to do this duty in this present council. But I looked around, what's a waste of time, Bill doing that? I said, no, I think I know most of you anyhow. So we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I've been doing this for approximately 4 to 5 years, I think, as far as I know of. Time goes so quick, you can never be too sure of things these days. Now, I would firstly like to take this opportunity to congratulate those who won election at the last council meeting. Whether you was restanding or whether you stood for the first time, I congratulate you people to do that. I also congratulate those who stood and didn't get into the council, because they are the true ones that are pushing these things along. And they like to, and what I say, the opportunity to congratulate those newly elected candidates, but there's one thing I can assure you, that you're stepping into big boots. And from the time I've been down here and seen what goes on, I probably can't get out quick enough. So that's what I think. I don't mean that as an insult, Rick.
I'm sure you don't.
There is one thing that you do have big boots for. To those who didn't receive reallocation to the council, I thank you for your effort. So thank you for that there. At least you were prepared to get up and have a go, those who didn't make the council. So Lord, let us pray. Lord God, our Heavenly Father, it is right to give you thanks and praise at all times and in all places. We know that you are with us always. At every monthly council meeting, you are always the first to be invited. We have always had a well-run shire, but with people movement, some staff have to move and have to be replaced. So we pray that for the good replacements that we can hopefully get, and give thanks to the Lord for the rain of good harvest that we have received in the last few months. We also pray for our local police to keep Temora in order and being tidy and looked after. And these people, we must admit, at times do place difficult and awkward situations, but they still turn up there for us if we need them. So thank you for that. We ask all of this, Lord, in your name, Amen. And I've written on the bottom, Temora is still the best place in New South Wales. Hee for that. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. McCauley, for leading us in our opening prayer. And you are welcome to stay if you have the time to do so. Now, in terms of apologies, we have the General Manager who is an apology and acknowledge that we have the Director of Administration and Finance, Mrs. Elizabeth Smith, as our acting General Manager and doing very well to date. And we thank you so much for stepping up once again, Madam Acting General Manager. So someone prepared to move the apology of the General Manager, please. Thank you, Councillor Good. Councillor Judd, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Any declaration of any interest at this time, please, councillors? Now, if not, let's proceed to confirmation of minutes. And we have two lots of minutes to consider. The first that I'd ask someone that was present at the ordinary meeting of Temora Shire Council held on the 16th of June of this year, that they be moved as true and correct. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Reinhold, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Next, councillors, we have the extraordinary council meeting that was held on the 23rd of June 2022 and require a motion that those minutes be received as true and correct. Thank you. Councillor Oliver has moved that way. Seconded, Councillor Judd. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Any matters arising, Madam Acting General Manager?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
No, thank you. Councillor, before we go into our business paper, it's also great to see Councillor Bushell in the chamber and enjoying good health, which is great, and Council certainly here for you whenever you need to reach out. Now, councillors, let's go to your business paper on page 11. We go to the Signage Committee report. Now, we didn't have a quorum on that occasion, so therefore that matter that is on page 12, 4.1, the Truscott Street and Temora West School signage will be considered by Council now. So which engineering manager? The engineering works manager, Mr. Dallenberg.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In regards to this report for Traffic Committee, what's there to be considered is essentially the relocation of the signage for Truscott Street and Temora West School. As part of that relocation, upgrade of signage can occur where essentially instead of a single blade for the school, it's upgraded to a double blade, which is allowable under the standard. So that's what's there for consideration as part of that. It also notes there too about cost recovery with the school. That's only written there because in Council's policy for that section of signage, there's the option for cost recovery. So that's for consideration as well as part of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Manager. Councillors, there's the report there for you to consider. There isn't necessarily a recommendation. Councillor Judd, you're the chairman of this committee. Do you have any remarks you'd like to share?
Not really. I think what the engineer said is the best outcome for this solution for this problem. No, I'll support that, and I'll move the motion, that recommendation.
Thank you. So you'll move that we accede to the request?
Yep.
Thank you. I'll get a seconder for the motion. Councillor Oliver, thank you. Discussion, I go now to Councillor Irvine, who's with us via Zoom.
I just need to backtrack to the disclosure section in terms of expressions of interest, pecuniary interest.
Oh yes, you can do that. If you missed that first opportunity, Councillor Irvine, you can do it certainly when I introduce the item of business at the time.
Yeah, so 19.5 in confidential.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted. Thanks very much, Councillor Irvine. Further discussion on the motion moved by Councillor Judd and Councillor Oliver that we accede to the request from Temora West Public School. I go to Councillor Good.
Is this something that we are going to ask Tomorrow West to pay to cover the cost? Is that what because the motion doesn't really cover that.
So, thank you, Councillor Good, that I understood that, yes, acceding to the request, but yes, we probably should be more tight in terms of well, not tight, I don't mean that, but more structured around the motion that we put. Councillor Judd and Councillor Oliver, did you, I have probably just assumed that you're expecting council to pay, but Councillor Judd?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Oliver as a seconder, yes? Okay, so that is the motion before us. If we can somehow include that and further that council meets associated costs. So that's the motion that's before us. So Councillor Good.
Can I ask what would be the approximate cost for that to council?
Yeah, I understood, thank you, Councillor Good. I understood that it was around that $500, but I don't know if so that's correct? Yeah, less than $500, yeah. Very good, Councillor Good, watching our pennies. That's our job. Okay, so if there's no further discussion on the motion, I'll put that to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. So let's, councillors, now go over to the page 19, the Youth Advisory Committee report. And I'm the chairman of that committee, and Councillor Bushell also sits on that committee. And Councillor Bushell, you move that the report is received. Thank you. Second for the motion, please. Councillor Reinhold, thank you. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillor, I just highlight that there is certainly a very active youth department, as you can see in the report, and certainly I know that the committee are most impressed with the officers in that team, and are very grateful to everybody that's involved. And particularly pleasing to see that we're going to have a bus for Rerock's Take Charge Youth Leadership Summit at CSU in Wagga. That's a fantastic event. Anything further? Councillor Bushell, do you have anything you'd like to add to the youth report? No, thank you. If there's nothing further, is someone prepared to move the Youth Advisory Committee report and its recommendations, please? Councillor Bushell, Councillor Oliver, moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Let's go to page 27, the Assets and Operations Committee report, and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is the chairman. Hang on. Sorry, got to get in the habit, don't we?
I move the report be received.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has moved the report is received. Is there a second for the motion? Thank you. Councillor McLaren moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. The report and its recommendations are there for you to consider, and I go to Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In relation to the item on page 53, about the, 51 and to 53, about the commemorative tree for Her Majesty's Jubilee. The Heritage Committee today had a discussion that they are going to install, the Shire are going to install 2 additional plinths at the War Memorial. And so there's going to be some work there, and David Scobie, the heritage architect, had some ideas about where the tree could be to ensure symmetry, and so that it's not just another, I think he said, another thing just plonked in the middle of plunked on a park. We did have a photo, and I don't know whether Claire has that on town plan.
I can just bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, if you could, he just had a photo just to show the symmetry of the area, and where this tree is planned may not be the best place for it, just so that it fits in with the overall look of the area from the street. And we'll just get that up, hopefully. It's a very active committee.
No doubt.
So this is the area that he showed us, and you can see that the photo there to the left-hand side there is a substantial amount of large trees, but on the right-hand side there aren't, and because of the drain. And he suggested that particularly because council are going to do some more work around the memorial there, that the tree, if we are going to put in an additional tree, that it continue in a semicircle behind the war memorial there, which would then fix up or make it symmetrical, because the additional plinth is going to be two similar size to the two at each side, and so there'll be 5 in effect, as I understand, and then by planting a tree at the rear on the right-hand side, it would make the whole area look symmetrical. So basically what I'm getting at is that the motion on page 52, no, it's 51 actually, it's the resolution 73 2022,
Yeah.
that motion be amended so that that council proceed with a proposal for a Jubilee tree planting in Callingham Park, but they consult with our heritage architect as to where it would be an appropriate place for it to go.
Okay, you're moving that way,
I
Councillor
am
Good?
moving that way, yes.
Thank you. So that's in relation to page 51, in relation to 73/2022, that Councillor Good is moving that motion with the addition of, in consultation with the Heritage Advisor. Councillor Reinhold, you'll second that specific motion. Is there further discussion? Sorry, Councillor Good. Thank you. I go to Councillor Oliver and discussion on that motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. The picture's gone now, but when you said at the back of the memorial, is that on the back and the right-hand side toward the creek? Because if you go back, and I was just a bit concerned if it was going to be at the back, it wouldn't get enough light to grow. But if it's on that right-hand side where it's more open, it probably would do okay there. So, thank you. That's all then.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'm going to put just that particular motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very, very much. The remainder of the report is recommendations. Does the chairman of that committee, the Deputy Mayor, have anything he wishes to highlight or add? The Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just on page 29, the resolution there, that back Mossa Road, and as said at the meeting, that that's not in the 10-year works plan, but the estimate engineer did say that because of some of the things that have been ticked off, it may be able to be brought forward at some stage. So I didn't know whether that should be part of the motion, that while it's not in the plan, it may be brought forward in some time.
Yes, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'll go to the Engineering Assets Manager.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, maybe just include something in the resolution that says that, we'll furnish council with the report looking at, reorganising priorities. So basically what I was saying is, we had a list, council chose their highest priorities, got some funding come along, we knocked 5 of them off in one go. It's about having a look at what's left on that list. So I'll bring that report back to council, but that's the wording you're after.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Engineer. Yeah, I just, the way it is there, it sort of suggests that maybe no chance, certainly in the short to medium term, but if there is a possible that something could be done there, well, I think that residents need to know that.
So would you like to move in relation to page 29, pardon me, recommendation, a different motion?
Well, probably add to it somewhere there that there will be a review done by the engineering department
In due course,
in
or?
due course or something, yeah.
Okay, so another and further. So are you moving that way, Mr Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for that motion, please, in relation to 6822 on page 29. Seconder for that motion. For the third time, a seconder, Councillor Reinhold, thank you, has seconded the motion. Discussion, Councillor Good.
I'd actually like to move an amendment to that motion because I think from our discussions, we were going to let the residents know that it was going to be further reviewed. So it shouldn't be another and further. It should just, at the end of the first sentence, where it says not included in the
10-year.
advise the resident that the project is not included in the 10-year capital plan, works plan. However, the capital works plan is going to be reviewed by council, and maybe and there are opportunities for roads to go on that 10-year plan in the near future, rather than having it and further. Because and further, that's not what we're not letting the. Because my understanding was that that's what we would let the residents know, but.
So that was the intent, I think, of what the Deputy Mayor is saying. So I thank Councillor Good. The Deputy Mayor and Councillor Reinhold, are you happy just to amend that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was my intention.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So how are we going here? With the report. Finish the report prioritising of engineering works with a report regarding prioritisation of engineering works projects in due course. There's a move and second. Happy with? Yeah, so that's just in addition to, it's what we've already got there in that recommendation, and then it's and advise. Yeah. Move and second, are happy with that now? And also we've got to have the initial part of that recommendation as well. So that the committee note the request relating to Backmanossa Road and the associated costs. Oh, you're going to copy and paste, right? There we go, as it happens. So moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion, Councillor Good?
I think the motion that we've got, it doesn't quite cover what I meant, and I think what the Deputy Mayor meant. If we go back to it, because we're not going to provide them with an operational plan. We're not going to advise the residents or provide them with a report regarding the prioritisation of the engineering works.
No.
What we're going to do is we're going to advise them that the roads will be reviewed in the near future, and that their road may be part of this review. So we're not going to provide them with a report. We're just going to let them know that we're going to review the road's 10-year plan.
Thank you, Councillor Good. We'll get there.
And advise it'll be works plan.
We should say end of sentence, associated cost, full stop. the residents will be advised that this project.
Which will involve a reprioritisation.
Hang on, can we do this in a proper and formal manner? Now, who would like to speak? The Acting General Manager? Now,
Essentially, we're adding in some extra words to the first part. It's not currently. Yeah, so we want to keep
Now-
that part, sorry.
I beg your pardon? The town planner?
Wanting to clarify, do you want to keep the first sentence about advising the resident that it's not included? Do you still want to tell them that and then also advise them that council will be reviewing it?
Well, that's what I understood had to be part of it. The move and seconder, yeah. Okay, is the Deputy Mayor and the seconder happy with the way that that motion is? Hang on, 10-year and further residents. And advise residents that council will be reviewing this 10-year capital works plan. Okay, are we happy with that mover and seconder? Right, well, I'm going to put it now. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you very much for your perseverance, everyone. Now, the remainder of the Assets and Operations Committee and report, is someone prepared to move that they be adopted, or is there further items? I'll go now to Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'll just discuss the items in 4.7, Murray Park Village Housing Strategy.
Oh, yes.
As I said the other day, in all my years on council, the present demand for village blocks and houses in Murray Park is unprecedented, using a very common word at the moment. And as council, we've spent a lot of money invested a lot of money in upgrading Murray Park, and I think we've got to try and make the most of this current opportunity to get people to move there. We've got a new preschool, a lot of good things happening, so we'll try and develop it. I support the motion that's been moved. I would have liked probably that, go back on page 56, the map there, the proposed, make sure that letters go to the R5 large lot residential zone as well, if we could please, to encourage them to find out and do things. Now, just going back
So would you, sorry, Councillor Judd, would you like to move that way as a standalone?
Yes.
Thank you. So in relation to
might be other things
4.7,
Yes.
Area Park Village Housing Strategy, Councillor Judd, you're moving that letters
Yes.
be sent to the...
Proposed R5 large lot residential area zone as well, please.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for that motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Oh, I haven't finished yet.
No, I'll consider this. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, he's very excited. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare that motion carried. Thank you, Councillor Judd.
There was a comment the other day about a fair few vacant blocks in Murray Park, which is not really true. Time you take out the Crown land, which is tied up, which it's another project I'd like to hopefully do one day. But go to page 61, there's a letter there from a local resident who just moved to Murray Park this year, has already bought a block. He told me on Tuesday night that he's contacted the neighbours, who are, I think, Sydney people, and he's asked the following questions. Are you willing to sell the blocks because he's after a bit more land? No. Are you going to build there? No. Are you interested in building supporting a joint fence? No. Will you clean up your block? No. So this is the type of people we're dealing with, you know. So
Makes it challenging.
And the last thing I just mentioned that on the page 64 in general business, I'd like to see a report prepared on our railway land that council owns at Murray Park, and because it's sort of could be tied in with this development as well, you know. So we bought this land some years ago, primarily to get the railway dam for water use for our roadworks, and possible industrial usage. But I think now council needs to look at it. It's over 30 odd acres altogether, but taking up nature reserve, there's probably 15 to 20 acres I think can be developed. So, so I'm hoping that, do you want a motion next meeting for that, or?
Well, you could, I was going to say, in some ways, if this report and recommendations were passed, you know, it could be deemed as that is the wish of council to have a report, or unless you want to further strengthen that and actually have a formal resolution. And I would think a future report probably be safer terminology than yesterday.
I think the wording is okay as it is, but just whether it's you want a proper motion.
Yeah, well, if you're happy to move a specific motion to give it strength, I'm happy to accept that.
I'll move that way, thank you.
Thank you. So Councillor Judd's moving that a future report is prepared on railway land at Area Park and its future uses.
Just maybe mention council's railway land.
Sorry, yes. Council's railway, ex-railway land, yes. Thank you. So moved, seconded, Councillor McLaren. Thank you, moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? The town planner.
Just wanted to clarify with councillor Judd, these letters to landowners, what proposed to include in the letters?
Well, that can be discussed offline, can't it? Yeah. Yep, thank you. So moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Go now to, thank you, Councillor Irvine on Zoom.
Just in relation to item 4.3 and the letter that came in from a resident in relation to the new street trees in Loftus.
Yes, page 36, councillors. Yes, Councillor Irvine.
The species planted there are London plane trees, and I've inquired as to the cultivar. And I've just done a little bit of research, and the mature size of these trees is about between 20 and 30 metres high. And we've got one planted directly below the street light. This is just another example, I think, of I've got certainly nothing against plane trees. I think they're a wonderful tree, but I think we're putting the wrong tree in the wrong place in a lot of instances. There's another example of this occurring down Victoria Street where we've got plane trees planted below electricity infrastructure. And we need to rip that tree out now and replace it with something more suitable, or defend the cost when that tree is affecting the street lighting, and even to the point where as soon as it reaches semi-maturity or mid-maturity, it's going to be affecting the street lighting because it'll be blocking it out. So we've spoken about this in the past, a review of the street tree policy, and I'd like to request that the review of the street tree policy be prioritised as soon as possible, because this is occurring throughout the town, and it's going to be significant ongoing costs in the future if we don't address it shortly.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. And yes, that that street tree policy is being reviewed, and it's certainly on the agenda. And I think it's been noted by council that it's one of the many things that that need to be addressed. And I'm sure that the engineers have noted those comments. So thank you very much, Councillor Irvine. Anything further in Assets and Operations Committee report? If not, is someone prepared to move the report and recommendations, please? Or is there an alternate? Councillor Bushell, Councillor Judd moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, let's go over to page 71, the Economic Development and Visitations Committee report, and Councillor McLaren is the chairman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be received.
Thank you. Councillor McLaren has moved the reports received, seconded Councillor Oliver. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare that motion carried. Thank you. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got nothing really to note. The report is as written.
Thank you, Councillor McLaren. Councillors, there was the Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, on the 4.1 Regional Activators Alliance Collective Statement and Temora Shire Council Pledge, quite a mouthful. Yeah, something I'm sort of struggling to really understand the idea of making this pledge and so forth. It's been suggested that we might change with the recommendation is we support items 2 and 3 of the pledges, but it's been suggested that maybe instead of the word commits, Temora Shire commits to attracting skilled multicultural workforce, it'd be endeavours to attract. Sort of, I think it gets away from that sort of locking us, sounds like it's locking us in. So yeah, just the councils think about changing in the same in the second in the third one too, where it says commits, and change that to endeavours.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. It seems to make a lot of sense. I must admit I was a bit concerned about that word, that commit, but endeavours at least is a genuine, you know, it's a genuine in our intent to strive toward that particular goal. But I'm in Council's hands. Does the Deputy Mayor wish to move in relation to that particular recommendation 50-20-22 that we adopt that same recommendation, but just with those adjustments of number 2, Temora Shire Council endeavours to attract a skilled multicultural workforce, etc., etc., and number 3, Temora Shire Council endeavours to achieve sustainable population growth in regional Australia, etc.
Yes, Mr Mayor. Yep.
Thank you. So the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is moving that way in relation to that particular motion in relation to 4.1 regionalisation. Is there a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Good, thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion just on that motion? Further discussion, Councillor Judd.
Yeah, I agree with the motion, but as long as it still commits us to participating in the thing, you know, whether it doesn't matter whether we've got to whether we're getting results or not, but it's you know, whether there's no doubt about, you know, our commitment to being in the system. That's all. So.
Thank you, Councillor Judd. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare that motion carried. Thank you. The remainder of the Economic Development Visitations Committee report and recommendations, Councillor McLaren.
I'd just like to mention the appointment of Denise Clements to the Arts Centre Manager. I think that's wonderful to have somebody in that role at last, and I think she'll do great things for that centre, so I look forward to working with her. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLaren. A good point. Council does warmly congratulate Mrs Clements, and we know that she'll do a fine job, and from what the Acting General Manager has advised, seems to be hitting the ground running, which is terrific. So thank you very much, Councillor McLaren. Go to Councillor Judd.
Just a question on the community events program to our Acting General Manager. Have we heard about events being approved yet?
Thank you, Councillor Judd. I go to the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. There was just an email just this afternoon to say we've got the funding agreement, so it has been approved. Yeah. So I haven't read the details of it yet, but it's come through.
Excellent. Thank you. So that's really positive. Excellent. Thank you. So where am I up to? This is discussion on adoption of the report and recommendations, yes. Thank you. No further discussion on adopting the report and recommendations for economic development visitations. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think typing up the resolution, that point 1 should not be there.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor. We like attention to detail. We're all part of the same team. So thank you, Councillor Good. Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to now put the motion that Council adopt the report and recommendations, the remainder of the report and recommendations for Economic Development Visitations Committee. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare that motion carried.
Moved and seconded the remainder of the report.
Oh, I thought I did. Oh, I thought I did. Yeah. Anyway, I thought I did, but Councillor McLaren and Councillor Good have moved and seconded that the remainder of the Economic Development Visitations Committee report and recommendations be adopted. That's right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have I declared it carried? All right, thank you. Let us proceed to page 97. We go to Delegates Reports. Do we have Delegates Reports, please? Delegates Reports, Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, the Town Hall Theatre turned 13 on Sunday. So increasing momentum after a shocking 2 years with COVID. It's really knocked their finances about, but just with the commitment from the volunteers and the committee, they're making great strides into, clawing their way back.
Excellent. Happy birthday on behalf of all of councillors and staff in our community to the Town Hall Theatre.
Yes. Also, the Imagine Committee met the new Arts Centre manager, Denise Clements, and I agree with Councillor McLaren. It's going to be great. She's a dynamo, that girl. And also the Women's Network Group will be holding a film night in September. Yes, that's all I'll say.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Councillor Reinhold. I'll go to Councillor Oliver, Delegates Reports.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. On Sunday evening, I went out to Springdale for their progress meeting out there. They had their annual general meeting, and the same executive were returned. Nothing much changed. They are struggling with committee members, though. I'm not sure what the reason for that is. It's whether it's everyone's busy, or perhaps the 355 committee rules are acting in a way that they're discouraging people. I'm not too sure what it is, but anyway, the ones that they have, they're very committed, and they're doing a very good job of what they do. So that's it, Mr Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Oliver, and good to see you back in fine fettle as well. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, Delegate Report.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. As councillors would be well aware, and staff, that Local Government Week starts on the 1st of August, and there's a few things organised this week. Hopefully you would have got invitations to them, I would think. Be good to see you along there. And also on the Friday the 5th of August, we're going to have a naming ceremony for Penfolds Road at Springdale. So it'll only be something fairly short, but you're welcome to come along if you like to see that. And also, along with the Mayor and the General Manager, we went to a JR meeting in Wagga on the 24th of June. A couple of things that come out of that. There's a letter of support being written to the Wagga City Council regarding the Red Fleet audit. They've been singled out, and apparently. So the JA decided to support Wagga City Council because as we're doing, we're not recognising at this stage, not recognising the red fleet as part of our control and so forth. And also further to that, JA is going to lobby the relevant ministers to get the Fire Act changed to reflect the current practices. Also, we had a report from Dr. Joe McGurr, the Wagga MP, regarding large-scale solar developments in the area. His concern is that some of these large-scale projects are taking up some valuable agricultural land, and which is a concern. There's probably different ways of looking at it. I mean, he did mention one that's been built on an irrigation country, which it seems pretty silly, but it's not completely lost, I don't think, in some other areas where I did see one report where they've done a small trial on as far as running livestock or sheep in particular under the solar panels, and they've actually from this report anyway, said there's very little change in the amount of grazing that comes off, because a lot of the pasture is actually sheltered by the panels, and during the drier times, overnight there's sort of dew that drips off the panels and actually waters at least sections of the ground. So it's not all negative. My biggest fear, I think personally, is that what happens at the end of the term of the life of these panels and so forth, and how they recycle them and what they do to the land and so forth. I think that's more of a concern than perhaps the land that's actually on. I mean, they've got to be reasonably close to a mains power line and so forth, and I guess there'd be issues around undulating country too. They'd want to be relatively flat, I would think. So there are issues about where they can actually put them. So, but yeah, it certainly is a big concern about if we start getting too many of them, how much valuable land it's going to take up that could be growing food, I guess, or maybe fibre. But at the same time, I guess they're also providing a power to the country too, which is just as needy, I guess. So yes, that's about it, I think, for me.
Thanks, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Further delegates' reports. I had a few here. With the Deputy Mayor and the General Manager, we attended another workshop in relation to the one regional organisation, and we have resolved that different options are to be sent out to our member councils to workshop and come up with a preferred position, and then is fed back to the boards of both Riverina Joe and Rerock. And council will be seeing something come forward in around August, September, and we will set a suitable date to workshop that out. It's certainly interesting to see currently that we have some councils, or sort of effectively a split of those that wish to continue with the jail and those that don't, but that's the board, that's not necessarily their councils. But it is going to be a very, very crucial time in terms of ways forward for the one regional organisation, and council will be furnished with those options, which will include the continuation of Rerock Incorporated as it stands, or also a model with both the JO and the ROC continuing again side by side, and another hybrid version, which again, those options will come back to this council to consider, but it'll be a very, very important workshop in terms of determining our future in relation to regional collaboration. And I'll leave it at that for the moment. Go to Councillor Judd.
Have you had any feedback from the opposition about their attitude towards JOs in the future if they happen to be elected next year?
Thanks, Councillor Judd. I was just talking to the Shadow Minister for Local Government, the Honourable Greg Warren, today, and I really appreciate him getting back to us. And he indicated that he wants to come out and meet with REROC and the Riverina JO boards. His view has been that he supports the principle of JOs, but he has advised that he needs to perhaps consult more widely with those that have other successful models, such as REROC, to help frame their policy position about regional collaboration going forward. So I must admit I was extremely delighted to hear, and the CEO of REROC is making arrangements with Mr Warren and his team to come out and address the board, but also the board speak to him in terms of what we believe their policy could comprise in terms of regional collaboration. So I have to commend Mr Warren. He has been very, very enthusiastic to come and listen and learn in terms of helping to shape their policies going forward in that space particularly. Thanks, Councillor Judd. Councillors, just further that we also have just today had requests from the mayors of Narandra Shire and Hilltops, and they wish to meet in relation to dialysis. So we'll be meeting with them in August, I think, Mrs Rands. Thank you. We had our Sports Council annual general meeting last night, and thank Councillor Oliver for chairing the election, and the same team who've been there for many, many years. We've been re-elected to our posts, and we're very proud to have been, and we're very much looking forward to some semblance of normal going forward in terms of a sporting year. I may have mentioned earlier that I'll be going to Tumut District Hospital to look at their new facility next Wednesday with the hospital manager and the Temora LHAC secretary, Pastor Patricia Morris. So we're looking forward to that. The CEO of Frank Whitton Masonic Homes has asked me to advise council that he's still working with Mr McCormack, the federal member for Riverina, and the new Commonwealth Government in relation to that $3.7 million grant that was awarded when Mr McCormack was Minister for Infrastructure. So they're hoping and praying that that will continue to come off, which I'd be shocked if it wasn't, but let's see. Of course, council are aware of the opening date of the pool, the Saturday the 12th of November, and I think, Mr Director, you're happy with progress, all things considered.
Yes, progress is going well. Nervous about the opening date being so close, but will give us a goal to aim for.
Good answer. Thank you, Mr Director. The opening of the runway, of course, Friday the 16th of December, and we look forward to that. Prime Minister, Mr Albanese, unfortunately is not available to open our Warbirds Down Under, which, anyway, at least they wrote a nice letter advising, and we know everyone wants the Prime Minister at their event, but we thought that we may have had a good chance, but not on this occasion. we'll have a visit from the New South Wales Shadow Minister for Agriculture, the Honourable Mick Veitch, that will be held in the latter part of August, but we'll advise Council if we can arrange a luncheon or some afternoon tea. It's supposed to be here in the afternoon, but we will clarify that for you. And we also, the Acting General Manager and the Deputy Mayor and I have arranged a meeting with the member for Cootamundra, again to discuss the heavy vehicle alternate route as per the Council resolution. And I mentioned about Mr. Warren, that we'll be meeting with him. So, and also lastly, councillors, that the Acting General Manager and I will be in Sydney on the 4th and 5th of August for the New South Wales Country Mayors board meetings and the joint chairman's meeting for the JOs. And actually the CEO and I will be presenting at the skills shortage forum that country mayors are hosting in relation to skills shortage and the programs that REROC and the JO are doing. So that will be very good. So that is all that I have. No further delegates' reports. If not, let's proceed over to page 98. The Mayor's report for the month of June, 9.1. There's a recommendation on page 100 that Council note the report. Thank you, Councillor McLaren. Councillor Oliver moved and seconded. Further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much indeed. Councillors, motion please to receive staff reports. Thank you, Councillor Good. Second for the motion, Councillor Reinhold moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Over to page 103, the General Manager's report, 11.1, calendar of events, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The calendar of events as presented.
Thank you very much. Councillors, you will note in October that we have put in our walk and talk tour to resume, which is always a very positive experience. Someone prepared to move that we note the calendar events. Thank you, Councillor Bushell. Councillor Good moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Page 104, 11.2, the operational plan, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the operational plan update for the year ended 30 June 22 as presented. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Councillors, are there any comments, questions in relation to the end of year operational plan report? I had a few things. Done that. Councillors, if there's no specific items raised, is someone then prepared to move the recommendation that Council note the report? Councillor Oliver, thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare that motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, let's now proceed over to page 163 and we go to the engineering services and they have nil to report, and we go then to the environmental services department report and they too have nil to report, so all must be in hand.
Steady she goes, Mr Mayor.
Organised, we're organised and we'll meet the committees.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. let's now go to page 164, the Department of Administration and Finance, 14.1, accounting for RFS assets. The Acting General Manager and Director of Finance Administration.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So just a further report following the report to Parliament by the Auditor-General. The recommendation there is probably just a little bit stronger than what we have put forward in the past. So this actually makes the resolution that council will accept a qualified audit opinion, and I've restricted that to being a qualification purely in relation to RFS assets, because I acknowledge there's a whole raft of reasons that we could receive a qualified audit opinion, which would not be acceptable. But just highlighting to council that the resolution is just that you would accept a qualified audit opinion in relation to the accounting for RFS assets.
So in other words, make sure that we don't go to water.
That's right.
No, thank you, Madam Acting General Manager. Councillors, there is a recommendation there on page 164 for you to consider. Councillor Good? So Councillor Good is moving the recommendation, and I'll read it for those listening. It is recommended that Council refuse to perform a stock take and condition assessment of RFS assets, continuing to take the stance of not recognising RFS assets in the financial statements, and further that Council will accept a qualified audit opinion in relation to the accounting for RFS assets on the 2021-2022 financial statements. So Councillor Good has moved that way. Seconded for the motion. Councillor McLaren moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. I find this absolutely ridiculous that local government's been this has been dumped on, the red fleet's been dumped on local government. And if you look on page 167 under the heading of the recommendation to the department, the second paragraph below the highlighted part, it's just got several statements there that are just conflicting each other. And the last one, which I'll read, is the New South Wales Rural Fire Service also confirmed that it does not control the equipment and is unable to confirm its value or condition. Now, I just find that an absolute blatant lie. If they don't control it, the equipment, if they don't know what its condition and value is, who does? Like I can't believe they've put that in writing. I've been personally involved with the Rural Fire Service for a long time and different levels in it, and that's who you deal with. I'm actually at the moment a custodian of one of those red fleet, have been for probably the last 20, 30 years. Every time that truck's due for a service or something, I get a phone call from the Rural Fire Service saying the truck is booked in for such and such a date for a service. So it's the Rural Fire Service has got control of the monitoring the condition of those trucks. They get reports back. They're the ones who control where the equipment is, where it goes. You know, when it's set to fires, these trucks get sent outside the Temora Council area. They go all over the place. They've gone up, as far as Queensland and places like that. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. This is it's just got to somehow we've got to get this changed. I just find it just a very sick joke on local. There's just another, a prime example of cost shifting, dumping stuff on local government. It'll be interesting to see where it all ends up.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I don't see you get your gander up too often, but I think I'm seeing nods all around the chamber, and obviously this recommendation here that's been moved by Councillor Good and Councillor McLaren, I would think, reading the chamber, that it would be supported wholeheartedly, and so I do thank you. And something does have to give, and the current member for Cootamundra is also our State Minister for Emergency Services and Resilience and Flood Recovery, and we certainly know that she's trying to do some work with Treasury and other groups, but it's evidently not as easy as what their first thought, but the one thing about Minister Cook is that she continued to persevere, but it's also up to councils to continue to reflect the views that I think our Deputy Mayor articulated very, very well. So thank you. Is there further discussion on the motion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. Well, actually, just in further discussion, I don't know whether that the mover and the seconder wanted to consider whether we wrote to our state member, who happens to be the minister as well, advising of council's resolution in a formal sense.
I'm happy with that.
Thank you. So the mover and seconder are happy to include that in the motion. Thank you. Just it keeps the momentum. Thank you. So moved and seconded with that addition. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much indeed. Councillors, let's go over to page 169, yet another saga. 14.2, the Riverina Regional Library, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So yes, the report's as written. I can probably just add further to that the lease for the trailer was signed on Monday. So that's all gone through, and further to that, the arbitration hearing was meant to be Monday of this week, and that was deferred a week at the request of Wagga City Council. So that's now scheduled for Monday of next week.
Which further delays the mobile library service. Anyway, councillors, that meeting, it was worthwhile. It was a joint meeting, as you know, with the JO and the Riverina Regional Library Board. And note that Councillor McLaren was an apology for that, but you've been kept well informed, and I know has certain views on that. But I think that meeting was very worthwhile and extremely necessary for Wagga Wagga to feel and hear the genuine concerns of those that sit on the boards of both Riverina JO and Riverina Regional Library. It's been a real eye-opening experience, I have to tell you, even just from my perspective as chairman of the JO. I have been extremely disappointed with the conduct of Wagga City in relation to this particular exercise. I've shared that view personally with the Mayor of Wagga, but hopefully we're moving forward to an ultimate position where our communities will not be starved of a mobile library service. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, it is a very unfortunate situation we're currently in. I think Wagga's been a bit playing hardball a bit against the rest of the members of the library, but I think Tony Donoghue from Coolman Council is a very ethical and honest fellow, and I feel very confident in his representation from the rest of the members to participate in that arbitration on our behalf. So hopefully it'll all be an amicable resolution very quickly. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor McLaren, very well put. And I fully endorse your remarks. For those that may not be aware, that Coolman Shire are now the Executive Council, taken over from Wagga Wagga City, and Mr Donoghue is also the Treasurer of Rerock and Riverina JO. He is, I concur with Councillor McLaren's remarks, he's an outstanding, honourable man, and he's not a public service medal recipient for nothing either, and so we fully back him, and of course the Chairman of RRL Board, Councillor Pam Halliburton. And thank you very much for the update from Councillor McLaren as a member of the board, and also from the Acting General Manager. Councillors, there's a recommendation on the page of 169 for you to consider, that being that we note the report. Was there an alternate? Councillor Bushell, you move the recommendation. Thank you. Second for the motion. Thank you. Councillor Reinhold moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Nothing of an urgent late nature from the Acting General Manager in relation to the admin and finance portfolio?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
No, thank you. I didn't ask, no. Good. Councillors, let's go over to page 170, correspondence. 15.1, the Southern Sports Academy, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So a request from the Southern Sports Academy to support some athletes, just noting that we have supported this initiative in the past.
Thanks very much, Madam Acting General Manager. Yeah, we certainly have, and what's interesting is that whilst this year there's 8 athletes, which is fantastic, some years that we can have none, some you can have 2 and 3, so it's sort of all evens itself out. And just for councillors' information, that council also sponsors through the Temora District Sports Council the Elite Sportsman's Grant, and that's of $150 for those that attain state or higher representation, and that's for schools and member clubs. So I'm really proud of council's involvement in that program, but traditionally also this program. But again, this is a matter for council to consider. Got basketball, netballers, rugby, union. I'll go now to Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that we support these athletes by contributing $200 per athlete for a total of $1,600.
Thanks very much, Councillor Good. Accept that motion. Second to Councillor Bushell. Discussion on the motion. I'm actually going to go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I'd like to further support that because these programs give country kids access to high-level coaching. And they help to break down that barrier that can sometimes exist to country athletes when they're deprived of the high-level specialist coaching available in the cities. So this program goes a little way towards trying to bridge that gap, and I think as a progressive council and trying to give youth or young athletes in the area the best opportunities, I think it's a good value program to participate in.
No, that's right. Thanks, Councillor Irvine. I think we all nodding our heads in the chamber endorsing those remarks. Councillor Bushell.
I'd like to meet this Georgia McCormack. She's represented in 2 sports, so that's pretty special for her. So.
Yes, Councillor Bushell's the new president of Temora Basketball as well, so you know your charge as well. Thank you very much, councillors. We have Councillor Good and Councillor Bushell have moved that Temora Shire Council support these outstanding 8 athletes through the Southern Sports Academy sponsorship program. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare that motion carried. Thank you very much. Let's go over to page 173, 15.2, the Rainbow Ball, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So a request for assistance for the Rainbow Ball Committee, which proceeds go to support the local Can Assist branch.
Thank you. And you will note, councillors, that last year we did donate a $200 Temora gift card that can be spent within Temora Shire businesses. Councillor McLaren.
Can I move that we donate similar T-Buck cards for this year's ball, $200?
Thank you, the $200. Thanks, Councillor McLaren. I take that as a motion. Seconder for the motion, Councillor Reinhold moved and seconded. Thank you. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare that motion carried. Thank you very much. We'll go over to page 176, 15.3, Temora Christian Leaders, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So a request from the Temora Christian Leaders to hold a church service on the grassed area at the railway station on the 18th of September.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd move that we accede to their request.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver has moved that we accede to the request of the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Sinclair has seconded the motion. Is there further discussion, please? If not, I will put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Over to page 178. 15.4, Temora High School, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So some correspondence received from the high school in relation to their NAIDOC Week celebrations, inviting councillors to attend.
Thank you. Councillors, they also sent one to me, so I will be attending that one as well. I'm not quite sure why we have this in the business paper. Councillor Bushell.
So is the assistance that they're asking or are attendants? They're saying something about here, assistance to cook the barbecue for the students, or is that what they're asking for, or just attendance?
Thanks, Councillor Bush. My understanding was that it was simply to advise that the event is there for those that wish to attend. That's why I actually thought the General Manager, before he went on leave, was just normally send invitations out to councillors and then councillors can attend or not. But I will be attending, and that is there for anybody else that's able to attend. So effectively, we just need a motion, please, just to note that item of correspondence. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll move that we note the report.
Thank you. Second to Councillor McLaren. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. We go over to page 180, 15.5. Polypedal event, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So just some correspondence from in relation to the polypedal with a change of date, advising us of the new date for the event. Thank
you. Does some great work, this polypedal, and a heck of a lot of money raised, evidently. Councillors, you have a recommendation at the bottom of page 180 for you to consider that council approve the new event date, or is there an alternate resolution? Councillor Good.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Good's moving the recommendation on the bottom of page 180. Second of the Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Let's go to page 200, 15.6, Walk by Your Side event, the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So request to have a walk and breakfast out at the lake in support of mental health and Open Minds Brighter Futures charity.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor. The Deputy Mayor.
I'll move the event be approved.
Did you want subject to your lake committees?
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, and providing the lake committees a favour, happy with it.
Thank you. Yeah, subject to approval. Seconder for the motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Good. Moved and seconded that we, Council, approve the event subject to the endorsement of Lake Centenary Management Committee. Full time. If there's no further discussion, I'll go to Councillor Bushell in discussion on the motion.
Just on that, whether we can request that Liam Martin wins the premiership again and attends and shows my kids the premiership ring. I attended last year and it was a hoot to get photos with Liam. So anyway, if we can ask for that as well.
You're very cheeky. Thank you, Councillor Bushell. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I too went out as well, and it certainly was just a lovely feeling, a lovely feeling. If there's no further discussion, we'll put that motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare that motion carried. Thank you. Over to page 201, 15.7, event application for the Teabag Christmas Fair. Thank you. The Director of Environmental Service declaring a pecuniary interest. I'm declaring non-pecuniary as a patron and a financial member. Councillor Judd is declaring non-pecuniary as a patron of Teabag as well. Thank you. Councillor Good.
I'll declare a non-pecuniary interest as a member of Teabag as well.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Good. That is also declaration is noted. I go to the Acting General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So event application's been received. Just noting in the recommendation there that the funds for this are covered through the community events program.
Thank you
The fees, sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, councillors, Councillor Good.
I move the recommendation.
Thank you. So you'll move the recommendation at the bottom of page 201, that is, that council approve the event with costs to be covered under the Reconnecting Regional New South Wales Community Events Program in accordance with council's resolution on the 7th of June 2022. Thank you. Councillor Good has moved that way. Seconded. Councillor Oliver moved and seconded. All those of further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. No urgent late items of correspondence, please, Madam Acting General Manager.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, let's now proceed over to page 202. Thank you to the Director of Environmental Services. During your temporary absence, Council have approved the recommendation on the bottom of page 201. Thank you. Now, over to page 202, we have not received any notices of motion. Just trying to keep looking. Now we proceed to urgent business without notice, and I shall go around the chamber. Councillor Bushell, happy? Thank you. Councillor Good. Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just see with the notification about our engineers both attending in future, is it possible to arrange a proper desk for our works engineer in future, please?
Thank you, Councillor Judd. That was actually crossed my mind initially the start of the meeting, and I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea, Councillor Judd, and I'd ask the Acting General Manager to please see what may be suitable. Thank you very, very much. And I have to say to the Acting General Manager, thank you very much for updating Council in relation to the restructure of the engineering department. And I think Council found that very helpful. I think we're all learning what the roles are under the new titles, but we found that most helpful. And I think Council do appreciate having both our engineers in the chamber wherever possible. Thank you. Further,
just on that,
Councillor Judd.
I know at times our town planner comes in without a desk as well, so maybe that needs to be taken into account as well.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's not quite the large size that we'd like this chamber. However, we will look at options. We'll look at options. Thank you, Councillor Judd, and very thoughtful as well. Go to Councillor McLaren.
Just a note to the Director of Environmental Services. I was out at the lake yesterday, and the main sort of barbecue shade area with the older tables and chairs, there's a little bit of structural rotting of a bit of timber on the western end, and that needs, maybe there's a few things going on in spring out there. Might be a good idea to tidy it up. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLaren. Let's now proceed to Councillor Oliver. You're happy? Thank you. Councillor Reinhold? Good as gold, thank you. And the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair? Happy? Yes, well actually I'm happy too. So we shall proceed. Councillor Irvine?
Yeah, no.
You're happy? Okay, thank you. Let us proceed, councillors, over to page 203, and may I have a motion, please, receiving the information paper. Councillor Judd, Councillor Oliver moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, any items that you wish to highlight in the information paper? I must say, take a dim view, councillors, on page 211, the 18.5 regulatory control report from our ranger, who hasn't been well, but to read that he's received abuse from residents, that doesn't go down well with me, nor I'm sure with council. and that it's not appropriate. Keep a civil tongue in our heads, and I think 99% of people do that. But he should not have to, nor any member of our staff, put up with abuse from anybody. Councillors, anything else you wish to draw to? I think the Deputy Mayor mentioned today that you're impressed with the outstanding rates balance, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I guess you'll note it's the 2% outstanding, which is excellent.
Here, it certainly is. Anything else, councillors? Information paper? If not, in accordance with Section 10A, the Local Government Act 1993, I advise that there are several matters that are deemed confidential, and accordingly I require a motion to have those matters considered, please. Councillor Reinhold, your confidence is inspiring. Now, we're back into open council, and I now advise the following resolutions were adopted by councillors. The first one, that council move into confidential session, and on the motion of Councillor Reinhold and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, it was resolved at 5:27 that we proceed into closed session, and that motion was carried. Minutes of the Assets and Operations Committee meeting held on the 12th of July 2022 on the motion of the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, and seconded Councillor Bushell, it was resolved that the reports be received, and the motion is carried. On the motion of Councillor Good and seconded the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, it was resolved that the reports and recommendations as presented be adopted, and that motion was carried. The minutes of the Economic Development and Visitations Committee held on the 12th of July 2022 on the motion of Councillor McLaren and seconded Councillor Oliver, it was resolved that the reports be received, and the motion was carried. On the motion of Councillor McLaren and Councillor Oliver, it was resolved that the reports and recommendations as presented be adopted, and the motion was carried. The General Manager's Performance Review for period ending 30 June 2022, on the motion of Councillor Bushell and Councillor Good, it was resolved that the General Manager's Performance Review Panel report be adopted, and the motion was carried, noting that the Director of Environmental Services, the Engineering Assets Manager, the Acting General Manager, the Town Planner, the Engineering Works Manager and the Executive Assistant left the chamber at 5:39 p.m. and returned at 5:56 p.m. Then Councillor Judd left the chamber at 5:57 p.m. declaring a pecuniary interest in the following item. Freedom of the Shire. On the motion of Councillor Bushell and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, it was resolved that Temora Shire Council confers Freedom of Temora Shire Awards to 3 former mayors, and further that an appropriate presentation ceremony is arranged as soon as practicable, and the motion was carried. Councillor Judd returned to the chamber at 6:01 p.m. Councillor Irvine then declared a pecuniary interest and left the chamber virtually in relation to the following item, signage projects. On the motion of Councillor Good and Councillor McLaren, it was resolved that Council writes to the supplier and inquire if the outstanding works can be completed by the 30th of September 2022, and if not, receive representations as to the reason the works cannot be completed by that date, and that motion was carried. Councillor Irvine returned to the chamber at 6:19 p.m. virtually. Next, social housing requirements. On the motion of the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, and seconded Councillor Bushell, it was resolved that Council continue to lobby state and federal members of Parliament, the Riverina Joint Organisation, the New South Wales Country Mayors Association and LGNSW to take urgent action on the matter of social housing, and that motion was carried unanimously. The motion of Councillor Reinhold and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, it was resolved that Council moves the motions from closed session into open council, and the motion was carried. On the motion of Councillor McLaren and Councillor Good, it was resolved that Council moves out of closed session and into open council at 6:28 p.m. May I now please have a motion to adopt all those motions that have been brought forward? Thank you. Councillor Oliver, Councillor Judd, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare that motion carried. Thank you for the last time, Council. Is there any urgent business before Council? I go to Councillor Judd.
Just a comment that I sympathise with Councillor Bushell where she's sitting. It's the worst seat in the House for getting the attention of the chairman. I refer back to some years ago when I was sitting in that seat with the late Peter James when he was chair. I virtually had to get a white handkerchief out and flash in front of him to get his attention. So I hope you might have to get a flag or something for next meeting.
I have plenty of white umpire flags handy. Thank you, Councillor Judd, for those reflections. And Councillor Bushell, I do try usually to scan, but obviously on that occasion I was preoccupied, but we'll do better next time. So, very patient is our Councillor Bushell. If there's no further business, I do thank very sincerely councillors and staff for your input, and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you, Councillor Irvine.